Elon Musk's cooperation and/or technical relationships with other countries is worthy of being looked at.
So, Greg,
yes. What was wrong with him? I don't know. He's dying. That was how long did it take him to say 6 words?
He was choosing his words carefully.
Oh, he didn't know what he was saying. He's saying you got to look into foreign. Joe Biden is saying you should look into somebody else's foreign ties. Yep. Can you say Ukraine? Can you say China? Are you out of your mind? He has no concept of what people do in this world to make the world better. He's demonized individuals who do their jobs. He's stealing from American workers to give to people who won't pay off their loans. He's crapped on so many people because they don't vote for him. He's trying to go after somebody who's expanding the freedom of speech. He's always on the wrong side of everything. But hey, at least he's a nice guy and he doesn't tweet.
No, he's a liar.
No, but he's such a nice guy, Judge.
No, he lied to the American people.
But no, I'm just saying he's a nice guy.
He's not a nice guy. He lied to the American people.
I'm being sarcastic.
So the reason that he's saying this is because there's a Saudi prince and his investment firm who are now the number two biggest stakeholder in Twitter. We know that there was a Saudi spy that was working at Twitter, was spying on dissidents. We also know that the Saudis obviously were responsible for killing Jamal Khashoggi. Do you think this is that insane of an idea?
Well, what about the Chinese? I mean, they're trying to take over in terms of...
Well, I think TikTok is a complete danger to all of us.
Yeah, well, you've got Swalwell and you've got Feinstein. You've got the Chinese infiltrating. I don't see Senator Dianne Feinstein being investigated. Okay, what about this? I think that this... Do you want to answer this?
No,
go ahead. Oh, yeah, I think the whole thing is rich. It's just a totally rich hypocrisy that can only happen with this president who hates anybody who's not a Democrat. And he's lied to the American people. He said he knows nothing about his son's business dealings. Tony Bobolinsky is the only guy who came out. The FBI wouldn't interview anyone else. You want to talk about fraud. You want to talk about other governments. They went through Europe with a garbage bag and a vacuum cleaner sucking up money from all these people who have no interest in America and being free. Elon Musk buys Twitter, and people are now worried. Oh my God, the First Amendment. They're not going to have any lockdown on First Amendment. No, I have no problem with this.
Okay, Dana, the impersonating problem that is happening on Twitter now. We were talking earlier about this Eli Lilly tweet that was up for 3 hours.
It happened to LeBron James. And so I don't actually understand what's going on the blue check mark thing, but obviously that needs some fine tuning.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they are working on it over at Twitter because they got to get a handle on it and they got to figure out a way to make sure the advertisers stay, et cetera. How are they going to keep it going? But, give him a minute. I think has he owned it for 7 days or something like that? I think that things need to settle down, but I think he's the one to do that. I would point out that Joe Biden seems to have something against Elon Musk going way back. Do you guys remember at the beginning of the administration when they invited all of the electric vehicle manufacturers to the White House, but they wouldn't invite him? And he sent a letter. And some people speculated it was because he doesn't allow for unionization at his plants. And so Elon Musk has been in the crosshairs of Joe Biden for a long time, and now he's a convenient foil, right? The best thing for Joe Biden is always to have somebody to be fighting against, to be pushing against. And a lot of people have been going along with that. I don't know how this ends in terms of the blue check mark or Twitter or anything. I like it for a lot of reasons. I'm excited about more people being able to be on, sharing their ideas, but I really don't know how they figure out this blue check mark thing.
Especially with, 3,700 less employees. What do you have to say about it?
There was a Saudi spy working for Twitter. What about the Chinese spy that was working for Hunter?
Oh, we're playing What About game? What about Donald Trump?
That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, what do you...
That was like the perfect example of a Democrat. Perfect example. What about Donald Trump?
I didn't. I wasn't prepared with a fang or whatever.
You weren't prepared.
No, I was plenty prepared.
Read the packet.
He filibustered, then she filibustered.
I'll tell you
Dana
something.
finally took me seriously.
I'll tell you something about this. This was a setup by Michael Bloomberg. He had a Bloomberg reporter. Remember, Michael Bloomberg is a billionaire, Democrat donor. So a billionaire got a guy to ask a Democrat president, do we think that this other right-leaning billionaire is a national security threat? And the Democrat president said, Yeah, let's investigate him. That was a setup, and it stinks. That was little Michael Bloomberg right there. That was a direct hit.
Little Michael Bloomberg.
Don't little.
He's not little?
He is little.
He is little,
too.
but
He is little to you especially.
I'm very tall. That's true. But I'm just saying he's a huge figure.